Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, all honor, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to the whole collective Israel. This is your brother Shemashawan coming back with another lesson, and this lesson is regarding the tithe. So we're going to prove through the scripture that the tithe was never monetized. The tithe was never about money. The tithe was about the increase, right? Wheat and barley, and fruits, literal fruits, oils and wines. All right. So here, let's get it. So we're going to see the first tithe. It's going to be done by our great father Abraham, right? To Melchizedek, and Sadbar. Through the scriptures, we proved that Melchizedek is in fact Yahweh Shai. So if you want to look on my classes, it's a class that was done through the Spirit, and it talks about how Melchizedek is in fact Yahweh Shai. But anyway, let's go to Genesis chapter 14 and 18 and see the first tithe that was given. The first tithe that was ever given, okay? So this is Genesis chapter 14 and 18. It says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High Yahweh. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High power, possessor of heaven and earth. Okay? It says, and blessed be the Most High God, which have delivered thy enemies into thy hand, and he gave him tithes of all. So we see that this is the first time that a tithe was ever given in our nation. It's right here with our forefather Abraham giving the tithe to Melchizedek, who was in fact Yahweh Shai, king of Salem. Okay, so also we're going to prove through the scriptures that the tithe was only given to the Levites, because the Levites were a possession of Yahweh's possession. So all they did was their duties was to do the duties of the temple. That was their only duties, right? So they couldn't go out and be blacksmiths or carpenters, so forth and so forth, right? Their only primary job was to do the work of the Lord in the temple, right? So the tithe was for those guys. And so Yahweh chose the Levitical priesthood and created those guys in an effort that the Levitical priesthood, would only do the work of the Lord in the tabernacle. Let's get that. Let's go to Numbers chapter 3. Let's go to Numbers chapter 3 and verse 11. This is Numbers chapter 3 and 11. It says, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, and I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, instead of all the firstborn that openeth the matrix among the children of Israel. See, therefore the Levites shall be mine. So the Levites, as we mentioned earlier, are Yahweh's possession. All right, and so those guys, the Levitical priesthood, can only take the tithe. And even now, how these people are taking these tithes, you can't prove, through your lineage, your bloodline, that you are in fact a Levite. So you shouldn't be taking no tithe in the first place. And we know that Yahweh Shai took all that away anyway. Yahweh Shai took that aspect of the law away in terms of the tithe, right? You don't do that right anymore, right? You don't rob the people. We're going to see that Malachi, what that Malachi piece is talking about, how these people are robbing the people, in terms of the tithe. And again, the tithe was never monetized. It was never ever about money, okay? And so through the scriptures, we're going to prove that. So here, let's establish something. So now there were three types of tithes. Three types of tithes. The first tithe was called the Levitical or the sacred tithe, okay? The second tithe was called the feast tithe, in regards to Passover, first fruits, and then the tabernacles Feast of Tabernacles. And the third tithe was called the 3-year or the poor tithe. Okay, so let's get some insight, okay, on these three different tithes, and get some understanding. So let's start with the first tithe, which is the Levitical or sacred tithe. Okay, let's go to Numbers 18. Okay, because this tithe was done to the Levites. Okay, right. Let's go to Numbers 18 and verse 21. All right. Numbers 18:21, it says, "And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve." We just talked about that. Even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. See that? "Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they shall bear sin and die." So let's talk about the other 11 tribes, right? They couldn't do any work like that. This effort was only given to the Levitical priesthood, only the Levitical priesthood. Okay, 23, it says, "But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation." We just talked about that. "And they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance." Remember, they had no inheritance. So, when Moses and Joshua was dispersing, the parcels of land, the Levites didn't get any of that, right? So remember, the Levites were to be joined with all the other tribes, in terms of their areas or their lands that they were given. Okay. 24, it says, "But the tithe," here it is, "of the children of Israel, which they offer as a heave offering unto Yahweh, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance." So we see that this heave offering right here was a sacred offering. It was a sacred offering that only the Levites could partake of this offering, right? Or this tithe, right? So that's the first one. That's the Levitical or sacred tithe. Now, let's see what the second tithe is, which is the feast tithe, in regards to Passover, the first fruits, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Right? These people are robbing you. Stop doing that. You don't have to give no tithe. Now, remember, you can give an offering, to these people, in these days, in terms of our culture. Not that Christian stuff. Don't even, get into that. We're talking about in terms of understanding Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, and our culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can give an offering there, and also we want to give insight on money. So now, we had money, right? So when we would give money as an offering, it wasn't a command to do that. So the money, right, that was given, right, was to keep the upkeep of the tabernacle, right, and to purchase, the offerings like the bulls and the goats, but that was optional. You weren't commanded to do that, so we understood through our culture that we would, give help, an offering, to help out with the maintenance of the temple, and for the sacrificial offerings, the bulls and the goats. But it was never commanded, and it was never monetized in terms of the tithe, wasn't. So that's where the money was given, or the money was utilized for the upkeep of the temple, right? And for the purchase of the offerings. Never with a tithe, okay? So let's get that. Let's get that Deuteronomy chapter 14 and see what this second tithe is. The feast tithe. Deuteronomy 14, let's get that. And we're going to look at verses 22. Here it is right here. Watch it. You're going to see. So now watch the verbiage and language in here. You ain't going to see no money in here. It's never monetized in here. It's going to always put increase. Okay. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 14, 22, and it says, thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed. Stop. That thy field bring forth year by year. So this is the increase, whatever you're cultivating, if it's apples or oranges or wheat or whatever it is, this is what you would increase, what you would tithe, right? It says year by year. So this is the year by year, or the feast tithe, right? It says 23, and thou shalt eat. So now stop. How in the heck can you eat money? Can't eat money. Can't eat gold. Can eat silver. Can't eat that. Right? It says, and thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy power in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. So in other words, this is corroborating how the males, all males, 3 times a year had to go to Jerusalem. Right? Okay. It says, in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of the corn, of the wine, of the oil, of the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh thy power always. It says, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, watch this, Israel, or if the place be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy power shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy power has blessed thee. Watch this. Now, this is a money issue right here, but watch what you're going to do with the money. It says, then shalt thou turn into money, and bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahweh thy power shall choose, and thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desires. And thou shalt eat there before Yahweh thy power, and shall rejoice thou and thy household. And the Levites that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake them, for he have no part nor inheritance with thee. So we see, for example, if we lived far from Jerusalem, you know what I'm saying? And you were a sheep herder, you can't take all those sheep from your location to Jerusalem. So at your location, as we just read in the scriptures, right, you would turn those sheep into money, right? Money, right? And so once you turn that into money, once you got to Jerusalem, then you would buy whatever you wanted in terms of wine or strong drink, oxen or sheep, whatever your soul lusted for. You didn't give that money to the priest. No, right? Okay. So let's get some more on that in terms of this feast tithe, because Tobit talks about it. Let's go to the book of Tobit. Let's go to Tobit chapter 1. Right, man, you don't give no money. You can't eat no money. These people are robbing you blind. And I was ignorant to the fact too, you know what I'm saying, in terms of that tithe like that. I thought it was that, but it's not. No tithe anymore. The tithe is eliminated. Yahweh Shai eliminated the tithe. He took that out of the way, okay? And you're going to see, you know what I'm saying, that these so-called Christians are adamant. We ain't under the law. We're not under the law. but they're hypocrites. You know, they don't observe the law, but they observe the law of the tithe. The tithe was a law, so you can't pick and choose there. The tithe was a law, okay? So these Christians, they don't want to do any other aspects of the law, but they want to enforce that law of the tithe. It don't work like that, okay? So this is Tobit chapter 1 and verse 6. It says, "But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast." See that? That's the three feasts he's talking about, that we just read about in the scripts, right? It says, "As it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits, Israel, and tenths of increase with that which was first shern, and them gave I at the altar to the priest, the children of Aaron." See that? The first tenth part of all increase I gave to the sons of Aaron, who ministered at Jerusalem. This is the 3 times a year when all males had to come to Jerusalem, right? It says, "Another tenth part, see, I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem." This is what we just read in the Deuteronomy piece, okay? In that Deuteronomy 14 piece. You know, if you were a sheep herder, you lived way out, he would turn the sheep into money. And then, you know, once you got to Jerusalem, you would, you know, exchange that money to, you know, whatever your soul lusted for. This is what he's talking about here, okay? 7 again, it says, "The first tenth part of all increase, right, I gave to the sons of Aaron, who ministered at Jerusalem. Another tenth part I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem. And the third I gave unto them to whom it was meet, as Deborah was." It's like a, as Deborah. It's like a, as Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, because I was left an orphan by my father. So this, what verse 8 is talked about, and we hadn't gotten there yet, is the poor man's tithe, okay? But you see what it is here in terms of the tithe is always cultivation. You know, it's always a harvest. You know, something that grows out of the ground. You know, cucumbers, berries, and wheat. Never money. Okay. So now we looked at the first 2 tithes, right? Which was the Levitical priest or sacred tithe. We looked at the feast tithe, right? Now let's look at the 3-year tithe, okay? Because we had the 3-year tithe. We had a tithe that we would do every 3 years. And so if Yahweh said the same, we're going to go into it and give the proper understanding. Let's go back to that Deuteronomy 14 and look at the poor man tax. So we're going to pick it up at Deuteronomy chapter 14 and 28. Okay. It says, "See, at the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thy increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he have no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh thy power may bless thee in all the work of thy hand which thou hast done." So we see that the third tax, or the poor man's tax, was given every 3 years to the fatherless, the widow, and the stranger, and the Levites, right? To keep those guys going. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Right? Let's get some more. Let's go to the book of Luke. The tithe was never, ever about money. Never. Right? As we see through the scriptures. Okay? Let's go to Luke 11 and 42. Luke 11 and 42. Let's get it. And this is red letter, right? Red letter, right? Yahweh Shai. It says, "But woe unto you, Pharisees, for ye tithe mint and rue." What is mint and rue? Let's get it. Let's see what mint is. Okay. Hold on for a second. It's like about that Israel. Let's get that. Let's see what this mint is. It's going to be it's going to be G2238. Let's get that. Let's see if you can eat this. So here it is here. All right. Let's get it. Here it is.
Strong's G2238. Hey, do us, man. Hey, do us, man.
All right, there it is. So we see what that is. All right. You know, it's not any money, silver or gold. It's none of that. Okay. So when you go down to the outline of biblical usage, you're going to see sweet smelling garden mint, a kind of small odorific herb. It's an herb, okay? It's like about the mispronunciation of that, right? So we see that this is a herb. This is what Yahweh Shai is talking about in this Luke 11 piece. So that mint, it's a herb. This is what they're tithing. And so remember, the Levitical or the Levites, Slakia, or the scribes and Pharisees didn't believe in Mashiach Yahweh. So they were still under the old aspects of the law, killing themselves. Okay, still tithing, ignorance, madness. All right, let's go back to that Luke. Right, so we see what that is. Okay, Yep, let's go back to it. Okay, let's just read the whole verse and then we'll get some insight on that verse. Okay. Luke 11:42, it says, "But woe unto you, Pharisees, for ye tithe mint." We saw what that is. It's an herb, and rue, and all manner of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of Yahweh. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. So we see these are all manner of herbs that they're tithing here. Let's see what this rue is. Okay. Let's see what this rue is. What they were tithing. It's going to be, here it is right here, Israel.
Strong's G 4076. Pagana.
There it is, right? And let's see what this is, what this rue is. Okay. What is this rue? Let's get it. Okay. Yeah. People are just robbing the people, blind, ridiculous. But they got to pay for all of that. So, it's going to be, as we just heard, it's going to be G4076. So when you go down to the outline of biblical usage, rue, right? It's a shrubby plant, about 2 feet, right? You know, and it had medicinal value to it. So this is what they're tithing. A plant, man. With no doggone money. You know, wasn't monetized. Ridiculous. Okay. So now, let's see what this herb is as well, Israel. Let's go to, let's get it. It's going to be G3001. Let's see what that is. Herb, right? So when you go down to the, here, let's get the pronunciation of it. Here it is here.
Strong's G 3001. Lachana. Lachanan.
There it is. So when you go down to the outline of biblical usage, you're going to see any pot herb, vegetables. Holy mackerel. Goodness. So we see that a tithe was something that you can eat, literally. It was never, ever monetized. It was never about money. Ever, ever, ever in the scriptures. Okay? Let's get some more. Let's go to 2 Chronicles. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 31 and verse 3. Watch this, Israel. 2 Chronicles chapter 31 and verse 3. It says, he appointed also the king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths, and for the new moons, and for the set feasts, as it is written in the law of Yahweh. So we see that the tithe is a law, right? Okay? But the Christians, they don't, the meteor or the other aspects of the law, they don't observe that. Sabbath, any of that. All right? But they do observe the tithe, which is a law, and the law is taken away. Yahweh takes that away, okay? So the hypocrites. 4, it says, moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the law, law of Yahweh. And as soon as the command came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn and wine and oil and honey, and of all the increase of the field, and the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly, right? And concerning the children of Israel and Judah that dwelt in the cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithe of the oxen and sheep, and the tithe of the holy things which were consecrated unto Yahweh their power, and laid them by heaps. Goodness. Right? Let's get some more. Let's go to the law. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 27. Tithe was never about money, ever, as we see, as we're proven through the scriptures here. Let's go to Leviticus 27, and we're going to look at verse 30. It says, and all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is Yahweh's. It is holy unto Yahweh. Let's jump down to 32. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passes under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto Yahweh. We see that this is not money. Okay? Let's stay in the law. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26 and 12. Stop robbing these people. Ridiculous. Deuteronomy chapter 26. Let's talk about that. Let's get it. Deuteronomy 26 and 12. It says, when thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thy increase the third year, that's the 3-year tithe, or the poor man tithe, which is the year of tithing, right? And have given it unto the Levites, the strangers, the fatherless, and the widows, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled. Right? Eat It didn't say spend there, right? You can't eat gold. You can't eat paper money. You can't eat that. Let's stay in the law. Let's go to the book of. Let's stay in the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 12. So we see, in fact, Israel, that the tithe was never, ever, 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 ever about money. It was never monetized, okay? Like these people are doing now, robbing the people, okay? Let's get Deuteronomy 12 and 6. It says, and thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithe and your heave offerings of your hand and your vow and your freewill offerings and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. See that? Flocks. Livestock. Right? It says, and there ye shall eat before Yahweh your power, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your household, wherein Yahweh thy power hath blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. Okay, let's get 11. It says, then there shall be a place which Yahweh your power shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall ye bring all that I command ye, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto Yahweh. Okay, the vow is something, it's a whole nother class, right? So we're honing in on the tithe here in terms of the increase, right, of the wheat or barley and stuff like that. Okay, let's flip down to 17. It says, see, thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of the corn, or of the wine, or of the oil, or the firstlings of thy herd, or of the flock, nor any of the vows which thou vowed, nor thy freewill offerings or heave offerings in thy hand. So we see that this is all about the increase. It's all about crop cultivation. Okay, right? Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. Let's get Nehemiah. Let's get Nehemiah. Ridiculous. Just robbing the people like that. Let's get the book of Nehemiah. Let's get Nehemiah chapter 10. And let's get verses 35. Watch this, Israel. Okay. We're going to start at verse 35. It says, and to bring the first fruits of our ground out of the ground. Does money grow out of the ground? Grow out of the ground, right? We know that gold is found in the earth, right? But in terms of the increase, this is what we're talking about. It says, and the first fruits of all trees, year by year, unto Yahweh thy power. Also the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstlings of our herds and of our flocks, to bring to the house of our power, and to the priests that minister in the house of our power. And that we should bring the first fruits of our dough and our offerings, and the fruit of all manner of trees, of wine and of oil, unto the priests, to the chambers of the house of our power, and the tithes of our ground unto the Levites, that the same Levites might have the tithes in all the cities of our tillage. And the priest, the sons of Aaron, shall be with the Levites, It's like when the Levites take tithes. See, only the Levites can take these tithes, right? And the Levites shall bring up the tithe of the tithe into the house of our power, to the chamber, into the treasure house. Now we're going to see this house or this treasure house. We're going to see it again, right, a little later, if your house is the same, in the book of Malachi. Right, it says, for the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn, of the new wine, of the oil, unto the chambers where are the vessels of the sanctuary, and the priests that minister, and the porters, and the singers, and we will not forsake the house of Yahweh. So we see that this is all about increase here. Corn, wine, those aspects. So here, let's get that Malachi piece and see what this storehouse is. Right? Let's get that Malachi piece. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3, I believe, in verse 8. This is what Yahweh was talking about. So this is Malachi 3 and 8. It says, will a man rob Yahweh? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? It says, in tithes and offerings. It says, and ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even the whole nation. It says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. Remember the storehouse of the treasure house? Same thing we just read earlier there. Right? That there may be meat, food, substance, something that's edible. Right? That there may be meat in thy house, and prove me now herewith, saith Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. See that? Right? It says, and I will rebuke the devourers for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Israel, how many times you got to keep saying this? The scriptures right here. Neither shall your wine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Yahweh power of hosts. Right? Let's go back to Nehemiah. Let's go back to Nehemiah 13 and get some more. So we see exactly what it is. We need to completely, establish this matter in terms of the tithe. You don't tithe anymore. We need to completely establish this matter so that people may understand exactly what this is. That's why we have to drive this in. You know how hard hit Israel is. Let's go to Nehemiah 13, right? And 5. It says, Slakia. Let's get it. Nehemiah 13 and 5. It says, and he had prepared for him a great chamber, where afterward they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. So we know the singers and the porters are Levites. Okay? Let's go to verse 10. It says, and I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them. For the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled every one to his field. Then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of Yahweh forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place, and brought all Judah the tithe of the corn and the new wine and the oil unto the treasures. Remember we just read that about the treasure and the treasure houses? Let's stay in the book of Nehemiah. Let's go to Nehemiah 12 and get some more and drive this thing home. Israel, you don't tithe anymore. Nehemiah 12 and 44. It says, and at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasurers, for the offerings, for the first fruits and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the city the portions of the law for the priests and Levites, for Judah rejoiced for the priests and for the Levites that waited. So we see the tithe is first fruits from your field, okay, right? So I pray that this class was edifying. So now Christians try to utilize this verse incorrectly now to substantiate them taking a tithe. Paul is not talking about no tithe here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Ridiculous. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. It's like it. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and from the top. Paul ain't talking about no tithe here. It says, watch. It says, now concerning the collection for the saints. This is a collection, right? And talk about a tithe here. It says, as I have given order to the church of Galatia, it's like Israel, even so do ye. It says, upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as Yahweh hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. And when I come, whomsoever ye shall approve by your letters, them will I send to bring your liberty unto Jerusalem. And if it be meet to go, and if it be meet that I go also, they shall go with them. So Paul's not, he's not talking about a tithe here. He's talking about a gathering, people giving, offering here, something like that. But it's not talking about a tithe here. So people can't utilize this verse incorrectly to say that Paul was talking about a tithe, right? So once again, I pray that this class was edifying. Once again, I'm going to give all glory, all honor, all praises to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.